Hi, I'm Laura,
And I'm Joe.
and this is CrimeDivers.
Hello everybody, welcome to today's episode.
Hello.
And today we have a lot of
We
swords.
do have a lot of sword.
But I might as well tell you now before we get into it that Laura's not very happy with me.
No, I'm not, actually.
Come on, tell the listeners why.
Because I wrote a Halloween episode. Actual on Halloween episode. And this episode is in November, as you obviously people are realising listening to this. It's in November, not on Halloween, when I thought it was going to be.
So just in case you missed that, she wrote an episode and the case happened at Halloween
On Halloween.
It happened on Halloween, just in case you missed that. But now it's actually November when I'm publishing it.
Yeah.
Maybe you should learn how to publish episodes and you could have published it on Halloween then.
Well, no, because you're already publishing or have published a different one.
No, yeah. I mean, I didn't realise that she had picked a Halloween one. And I've you know, as you'll already know, we did 2 bonus episodes over Halloween, which I had already written. And so I scheduled her in for today.
Mm-hmm.
Not realising that it was a Halloween one, but it doesn't matter.
No. Well, you're going to hear it anyway.
Well, yeah, exactly. I'm going to hear it anyway. It's still spooky season, really.
Well, it is a little bit, I suppose.
Well, it's not Christmas yet, is it?
No, we're not at Christmas yet.
So-
We can still be Halloween-y.
Yeah, exactly. We can still be Halloween right up to Christmas if you want it to be.
Fair. Well, no, we'll not be.
Well, no, but that doesn't matter, does it?
No, this is true.
So, are you alright now?
Well, yeah, I'm going to tell you the story now.
Yeah, I'm just making sure you're over your
Yeah, I'm fine.
annoyance.
I'm fine now.
Okay. Did you just, because I knew you wanted to get that off your chest.
Yeah. Well, I wanted people to think, "Ooh, why are they doing one in November? It's Halloween." And I'm like, well, this is why. This is why this happened.
Right, you're done.
Yeah.
Right. So, where are we?
We're in Texas, USA.
What's the name?
The Candyman.
Okay, it better not be like that horror film.
No.
Did that not have wasps or something?
I have not seen the film, so I don't actually know.
I have, but I can't remember it. Surprise,
But, well, I'm
surprise.
hoping it's not to do with it. I mean, I don't think it is. So.
Okay.
Not that I know of.
So, are you ready to dive into your Halloween episode that's not published on Halloween?
Yeah.
Do you know what we could have done? We could have kept it for next year.
No, I wanted to hear it this year.
Right, you ready to dive in?
Let's dive in.
Okay.
So Ronald Clark O'Brien lived with his wife in Deer Park, Texas. They had their son Timothy and their daughter Elizabeth. O'Brien worked as an optician and the family also attended church, so they were quite religious. So as this story is Halloween related, like we've just talked about,
Can I just ask a question?
Uh-huh.
Was this case on Halloween?
You're funny, yeah. I go inside.
Right, we're over it now.
So yeah, as this story is Halloween related, this takes us to the night of the 31st of October 1974.
Is that Halloween?
Right, you're not funny now. We got the point. So, O'Brien was going to take his 2 children trick-or-treating.
As you do on Halloween?
So Timothy was 8 and Elizabeth was 5. So they were both like really excited and, you know, they couldn't wait to go.
Yeah.
A neighbour of the O'Briens and his 2 children, they also had to come out along with them to go trick-or-treating. So that was the 2 men and their 2 kids.
And yeah.
So they visited a few homes, you know, all was well. You know, they went to the homes, did their trick-or-treating, they got their sweeties and all was fine. They visited one home, but no one answered the door. So, you know, the children got fed up, so they ran ahead on to the next house with O'Brien for some reason left behind. So I think they just must have been like, oh, I'm bored here, we're going to the next house. And they must have just ran off quickly before he'd obviously got a chance to go along with them. He did eventually catch up with the group. And when he did, he actually produced 5 21-inch pixie sticks.
Okay, what's a pixie stick?
I knew you were going to ask that. So for anyone that doesn't know what a pixie stick is, it is a sweet and sour, coloured, powdered sweet, usually packaged in a wrapper that resembles a drinking straw. So basically it's like sherbet.
Yuck.
Do you not like sherbet?
Not really.
I like sherbet.
If it's not like too sour, I suppose.
Well, this one supposedly is a sour one. So, yeah, so it's, you know, it resembles a drinking straw and the sweet is usually...
So who produced this? O'Brien?
Yeah,
Right.
so he'd come along. He'd caught up with the kids because he'd
Right.
ran ahead. He'd caught up with them and he'd brought out these sweets. So this, the sweet, it's usually poured into the mouth from the wrapper. So it's
So it's just sherbet.
yeah,
then.
like a sherbet straw basically. And in it contains dextrose, citric acid, and artificial and natural flavours. So he said that someone had actually opened the door of the house that they were at when the kids got fed up. So they actually said, no, someone had eventually answered the door and he'd given them the pixie sticks.
Oh, so the house that they thought nobody was in.
Yeah, because
right.
they ran off ahead.
I thought you meant the next house they'd opened the door.
The house that had not had the door that answered, he had been behind, so he had said actually
So
somebody
he
didn't
said,
answer.
and he gave it right.
So he
Okay.
gave them the pixie sticks. So at the end of the evening, O'Brien gave each child a pixie stick. So the neighbours' 2 children and Timothy and Elizabeth, they all got one each as they returned home.
This sounds familiar. I don't think I've heard this case before, but I could be wrong, but I think I've heard on another pod, like maybe somebody referencing this case,
Right,
if you know what I mean, like
yeah.
sort of saying, oh, it's a bit like
Right, okay.
that
But
case,
yeah.
because I think I kind of know where it's going, and it sounds a bit familiar, but I don't think I've actually heard it.
Right, okay. Oh, well.
Just thought,
Fair enough.
to
Well,
that.
if you have. If you're not, you're not. But anyway, so on their way home, O'Brien actually saw a 10-year-old boy that he recognised from his church. So he gave him the last one because he had 5 pixie sticks.
Yeah.
So he had given one each to the 4 children. And he
So
had one
5
left.
kids had the
Yeah,
pixie
so
sticks.
basically 5 kids, yeah. So before bed, Timothy, like most kids that had been out trick-or-treating, he asked to eat some of the sweets. Because they're all excited about their
Yeah, that's the best bit.
Exactly. So O'Brien said, okay, you can pick one thing. So Timothy picked the pixie sticks.
Oh, okay.
Timothy opened it, but he actually had a bit of trouble getting the powder sweet out of the straw. So O'Brien, he helped him loosen the powder. Because sometimes, I don't know if sometimes it can be a bit hard and stuff.
Yeah.
So I think he just with his fingers softened it up a bit so that it was easy to pour.
I think sometimes maybe if it gets too cold or something like that, so you maybe have to warm it up a bit.
Yeah. So I think that's what happened. So Timothy started to eat the pixie sticks, but after tasting it, he complained that it tasted bitter.
Okay. I don't like the way this story's going.
Yes, no, me neither. So O'Brien gave Timothy a drink to wash away the bitter taste. But Timothy immediately began to complain that his stomach hurt. And then he actually ran to the bathroom where he began vomiting and convulsing. O'Brien later said that he had held Timothy while he was being sick, but then he went limp in his arms. Sadly, Timothy O'Brien died en route to the hospital less than an hour after eating the pixie sticks. So in case you haven't guessed already, Timothy had died from poisoning.
Mm-hmm.
His death from the Halloween sweet had raised fear in the community, and numerous parents in Deer Park and the surrounding area, they all turned in the sweets that their children had had.
I was going to say, yeah.
Yeah. So they'd all turned in the sweets that they got from the trick-or-treating to the police, fearing that everything that they'd had was laced with poison. So at this point, the police did not actually have anyone to suspect. An autopsy on Timothy's body was carried out, and the autopsy revealed that the pixie sticks Timothy had consumed was laced with a fatal dose of potassium cyanide. The police managed to recover 3 of the other pixie sticks, which thankfully none of the other children had eaten.
Oh, God. Thank God. What about the other one, though?
The parents of the 5th child, they became hysterical when they could not find the 5th pixie stick, because they had been notified by the police. But finally, after rushing about the house, they actually found their son asleep, holding the sweetie in his hand.
Oh, God. I take it he hadn't...
No, thankfully,
hadn't touched it.
The boy, he had actually attempted to eat it, but he had been unable to open the staples that sealed the wrapper shut.
Oh.
So thankfully, he hadn't been able to.
Thank goodness for that.
Exactly. So the pixie sticks were examined, and all 5 had been opened. The top 2 inches had been poured out and refilled with the cyanide powder, and then resealed with a staple.
Oh my God. Who does that?
Well,
obviously we're
you're going to find out, and it's quite shocking who does that. So according to the pathologist who tested the pixie sticks, the sweet consumed by Timothy contained enough cyanide to kill 2 adults, while the other 4 sweets contained enough to kill 3 to 4 adults. So he actually had the lower dosed one, but still enough to kill 2 adults.
Yeah. So we know that the other ones would, the same thing would happen to the
exactly, yeah.
to the other kids.
So you know, Timothy never stood a chance after he had that. Never stood a chance whatsoever. And to be fair, neither would the other kids if they had consumed it, which thankfully they didn't.
Yeah.
So, of course, the obvious question was, well, where did these pixie sticks come from? Like, how did the kids get them? What was the intention? Like, what happened? So O'Brien, of course, was questioned about the house that he said he got them from. O'Brien initially told police that he could not remember which house he got them from. So police started to become quite suspicious because O'Brien and his neighbour had only taken the children to houses on 2 streets.
Right.
So it's like, well, how could you not remember?
Yeah, you haven't been to that many houses. So.
Yeah, because it had actually been raining that night, so that's why they hadn't been very far. Because it had obviously been a rainy night, didn't want to take the kids too far, etc. So, you know, there was the 2 streets. So their suspicions increased after it was revealed that none of the homes they had visited had given out pixie sticks. So they'd obviously interviewed all the neighbours and none of them, they'd said, no, we didn't have any pixie sticks to give out. So after walking the neighbourhood 3 times with the police, O'Brien eventually led them to the house where no one had answered the door. O'Brien had said he went back there before catching up with the group. But as my question, I've wrote in brackets, but why would a grown man do that?
Yeah, why would you go back? Like, if they haven't answered the door, then...
Well, you just move on with the
Yeah,
kids,
exactly, just move on and go to the next one.
Why would you go back to attempt to try the door again, think that...
You could think, oh, maybe a child would do that, because they'd be like, I want my sweeties.
Yeah, maybe try the door again, but but if they've decided that, you know, the kids have been like, no, nobody's answering it, why is he going to then go back to the door? He just would catch up with the kids, really.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense.
Because, you know, as we know... Here in Scotland, I'm sure it's the same in other countries, not everybody likes Halloween, so not everybody answers the door. Not everybody's even in.
I'm raising my hand.
Yeah,
I don't answer the door.
I'm not a fan of answering the door, I'll be honest. So, you know, people might just not want to answer the door. So if nobody answers the door, you move on. You wouldn't harass that door because you'd be like, well, they're not interested.
Because I'd be like, well, they're either not in or they don't want to answer the door. Fair enough.
Well, exactly. And this house was in darkness, so it looked like there was nobody in.
Yeah. Yeah, so that doesn't make sense for an adult to go back.
Exactly. So that was my red flag question there.
Yeah.
He said that the owner of the house did not turn the lights on, but did crack the door open and hand him 5 pixie sticks. Conveniently, that was 5. Well, no, I'd say there was only 4 kids, but yeah, it was 5. That actually makes no sense. Sure.
But to me, that wouldn't make sense either. I mean, like, you crack the door open and there's an adult standing on the other side of your door. I wouldn't automatically think, oh, he's a trick-or-treater.
No,
I'd be like, hello, can I help you? Like, why are you knocking at my door?
No, like, well...
I wouldn't be handing out sweeties to him because he's an adult.
Exactly. So O'Brien claimed to have only seen the man's arm, which he said was hairy.
Well, you know, as a man with a hairy arm.
I know, like that's not common.
Could identify him, no bother.
Yeah, so... A bit of a sketchy story there, I would say.
Slightly.
Yeah, so the police tracked down the owner of the home, who was a man named Courtney Melvin. Melvin was an air traffic controller at William P. Hobby Airport, and he said that he was working on Halloween night and did not get home from work until 11 p.m. So Melvin was quickly ruled out as a suspect when nearly 200 people had confirmed he had been at work.
So I think he was at work then.
Yes, I think he was. I mean, unless 200 people were really, really wrong, then yeah, I think he was at work. So as the investigation progressed, it seemed that there was only one real suspect here.
I wonder who.
Timothy's dad, Ronald O'Brien.
Yeah.
Police learned that O'Brien was over $100,000 in debt, and he had a history of being unable to hold down a job. In the previous 10 years, O'Brien had 21 jobs. In his current job as an optician, he was actually suspected of theft and close to being fired from that job as well. His car was about to be repossessed, and he had defaulted on several car loans, and the family home had also been foreclosed on. So basically, he was in a bit of financial mess.
So decided to kill his children to get life insurance.
Well,
I'm assuming.
You're jumping the gun a bit, but that's kind of how we're heading. So police then discovered something quite significant, Joe. That O'Brien had taken out life insurance policies on his children in the months before Timothy's death.
I have a question. Well, I mean, it's wrong, and you should never do that. Or anything like that, but why the children? Why not his wife?
Yeah, because that...
Not that she deserved to die,
no,
you know, but...
But I didn't actually I mean, maybe I'm just ignorant and didn't know, but I didn't realise that was a thing, that people took life insurance out on their kids.
Why?
I don't know, I've just never known anybody. I mean, I know, like, I have a life insurance policy, you have a life insurance policy, because, well, like, for me, you know, obviously, you know, I have a house, and in case my husband dies, then, you know, at least the mortgage would be paid off, etc. So I kind of understand that, but I don't have a life insurance policy on my daughter, and I've never thought to get one on her, because,
well,
obviously, if she, you know, God forbid, if anything happened to her, well, I wouldn't need. I don't know. I just.
Oh, you maybe just like to cover funeral costs and things like that. Like funerals are expensive things.
I just didn't see it as a child thing. I just thought it was something you did as an adult.
No, I mean, like I know that you like do that, but I just don't understand what of your. Not that anybody deserves to have it, but I just think it's a weird choice that you would pick the children over to kill the children over your wife. I would have thought that, you know, because when in other cases that we've done and people have done it, it's like the husband or the wife that they've taken out
that's true.
the policy on.
Unless there was maybe a reason why he couldn't, or
maybe he just thought nobody would suspect him because he thinks that he's got a foolproof plan that like a neighbour's given the sweeties out.
Yeah, obviously I don't have the answer to why he did that, but he did. So in January 1974, he had taken out a $10,000 life insurance policy on both of his children. So in today's money, that's actually equivalent to $52,476 in 2020.
So is that each?
Yeah. So in today's money, obviously back then it was 10,000.
You're So what was it in that money? And then
$10,000.
But that's not covering his 100,000. That's not even touching getting anywhere near his £100,000 debt.
Exactly. So.
Because I was thinking in today's money,
but
not
in today's money, but not in back then. It wasn't worth.
So that to me that doesn't. I'm sorry, but like your child's life.
Well, it's priceless, but surely worth more than that, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I know that. I mean, you can't put a price on your child's life, but only $10,000.
Yeah, it does seem pretty pitiful. And
that's
considering his debt was far superior.
Yeah, exactly. That's not even touching the sides.
Yeah, but in the days before Timothy's death, O'Brien took out an additional policy for both of his children, worth $20,000. So the various policies actually totaled up to about $60,000, but still not enough. But to cover.
Still, that's a hell of a lot short than $100.
Exactly.
$100,000. Sorry. So.
Yeah, still. I don't know what he thought he was doing there. But,
no.
Maybe he thought it was enough just to keep people off his back or something. I don't know.
Or maybe he thought he'll wait and see if he gets away with it, and then maybe his wife might have had an unfortunate accident.
Well, I don't know.
Who knows what his plan was?
I don't know. But anyway, so O'Brien's wife said that she didn't know anything about the insurance policies on her children's life, so she was totally unaware that he had done this. Police also learned that on the morning after Timothy's death, O'Brien had called his insurance company to inquire about collecting on the policies he had taken out on his son. I wrote in brackets, sick bastard. But like, the morning after your son has died.
No, that should be the last thing on your mind.
Yeah, if you're on the phone wanting to collect an insurance policy. I mean, to me, that's always quite suspicious, because I would think that...
To me, that just screams guilty.
Yeah, because if somebody died and you had an insurance policy, I mean, yes, great, but it wouldn't be my first thought.
No, of course not.
You'd probably be like weeks afterwards when you're,
especially when in a death like that your son has just been accidentally, apparently.
Well, apparently, yeah.
No, well, not accidentally, but you know what I mean, like.
He's been poisoned.
He's been poisoned, but like you weren't expecting it because you didn't do it. You know what I mean, like
exactly
that kind of thing. It's an unexpected death.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just
like no, that would be the last thing on your mind.
Mm-hmm. So obviously the plot thickens a bit, because police had also found out that O'Brien had visited a chemical supply store in Houston to buy cyanide shortly before Halloween. He actually left without purchasing anything after learning that the smallest amount to purchase was £5, as in like not like money wise, weight wise. So I guess that I don't know how much that was, or if that was not what he wanted. So police began to suspect O'Brien had laced the sweets with poison in an effort to kill his children to collect on their life insurance policies. They believed he gave the other children the poison sweet to cover up his crime.
Yeah.
So that it wasn't just on his
children. It wasn't just his children, like, because what reason would he have to kill other children?
So police repeatedly questioned O'Brien, but he maintained his innocence. I mean...
Well, of course they would.
Of course, he's not going to admit it.
No.
But I don't know how you can possibly maintain your...
Well, I just
with all
don't know.
that.
Don't know how he thought he could have. Anyway, because obviously he's basically blaming it on one of his neighbours. Or, you know...
Well, a neighbour, or the
Yeah.
street that he was in.
In his neighbourhood. He's going to blame it on one of them. So, you know, did he not think that guy might have an alibi?
Well, exactly. Yeah, did they not realise?
Because if he wasn't in his house, then it's likely that he's going to have witnesses for where he actually is.
So he really didn't think that one
No,
through,
he
did
didn't.
he?
That's what I just think sometimes about murder. Some of them are so bloody stupid. They just don't think things through, do they?
No, they really
Which
don't.
in some... Well, it's actually quite good, because at least they get caught.
Well, yeah, they get caught, yeah. In that sense, they do get caught. But yeah, they're a bit dumb sometimes. So police, they never did actually discover where or when O'Brien bought the poison. They arrested him for Timothy's murder on the 5th of November 1974, and he was indicted on 1 count of capital murder and 4 counts of attempted murder for the other ones.
Well, that's good that he got done for that as well.
O'Brien entered a plea of not guilty to all 5 counts. His trial began on the 5th of May 1975, and during the trial, a chemist who'd known O'Brien testified that in the summer of 1973, O'Brien had contacted him asking about cyanide and how much would be fatal. So he'd already thought about this, like, quite a while ago.
That's
to be fair.
really bad. Like, it's one thing to kill your or to kill anybody, but, you know, to kill your children, but to actually have it all so planned in advance.
Yeah, totally. So a chemical supply salesman also testified that O'Brien had asked him how to purchase cyanide. And friends and co-workers testified that in the months before Timothy's death, O'Brien showed an unusual interest in cyanide and spoke about how much it would take to kill a person. So he's done his research, clearly.
Yeah, but, like, he's obviously still being stupid by speaking to people about it because, you know...
Well, clearly they
Because
testified that he did.
exactly. Like, why not? I don't know. Go to the library and...
I think he was just
read a
clearly
book.
a man in a desperate situation of a load of debt. It spiraled out of control. He was obviously planning.
He obviously
this.
wasn't thinking straight. Like,
No.
you know, because, well, you know, he's killed his children. Well,
Yeah,
attempted to kill both his children, but I don't know. I just think
he's just he's I mean.
there's
He's left himself wide open here for this,
Yeah.
to be honest. Which thankfully he did, because obviously.
Yeah, of course, but I just
you know.
don't know how he thought he was going to get away with it.
No, I don't actually know how he did. So O'Brien's sister-in-law and brother-in-law also testified that on the day of Timothy's funeral, he spoke about using the insurance money to take a long holiday and buy other items.
Oh my god!
So
they're like, but
yeah, like so he was meant to be getting the life insurance policies to pay his debt. Yeah, and he's now talking about going on a holiday and buying stuff.
So you kill your child, and you're like, oh, I'm going to go on holiday.
Yeah, exactly.
He is one sick piece of shit.
Mm-hmm. So O'Brien's wife also rejected claims Timothy had chosen the pixie sticks. Because remember I said that O'Brien said that he had chosen it.
Yeah.
So she said that no, that she didn't think that was true, and that she stated that in fact O'Brien had forced him to choose it. Which, if he was intending to kill him,
Well, yeah.
then yeah.
Because you would think, well, it's a bit of a coincidence that he's chosen that sweet out, because he probably had quite a few different ones.
Exactly.
So it is quite a coincidence
So
that
he's probably like, kind of made him choose that one. Which is just sick, and knowing what was about to happen.
That's horrifying.
It is absolutely horrifying. So his defence mainly drew upon the decades and... Sorry again. His defence mainly drew upon the decades-old urban legend concerning a mad poisoner who hands out Halloween sweets laced with poison, or needles, or candy apples with razor blades inserted. So these stories have persisted despite the fact that there are no documented instances of strangers poisoning Halloween sweets. So, I'm not sure.
But I'm kind of thinking, like, I only want to be taking my kid trick or... Are you still want to take your kid trick-or-treating?
She's a bit young to go around everyday stores, so no, I won't be taking her trick-or-treating.
But yeah, I mean, like...
Yeah, but
I know that you're saying that none of those... That hasn't been documented, but just... You've put the thought into my head now, and I'm like, no, kids, don't go trick-or-treating.
I know, you just don't know what you might get in your sweets.
Exactly.
Hopefully there's no kids listening to this.
Well, I doubt it.
You never know.
You never know.
So on the 3rd of June 1975, a jury took 46 minutes to find O'Brien guilty of capital murder and 4 counts of attempted murder. The jury took 71 minutes to sentence him to death by electrocution. Shortly after he was convicted, his wife filed for divorce.
Well,
yeah. I mean,
yeah.
I don't have nothing to do with him.
But if he's going to die, well, I suppose it depends how long it's going to take for him to die.
Well, O'Brien's execution was set for the 8th of August 1980, but his lawyer successfully petitioned for a stay of execution. A second date was set for May the 25th in 1982, and that was also postponed. A third date was set...
I don't believe her for divorcing him then.
A third date was then set for the 31st of October 1982, and it was delayed yet again to allow for an appeal. And then a fourth date was set for the 31st of March 1984, and another stay of execution was sought after, but the judge rejected it. So shortly after midnight on the 31st of March 1984, O'Brien was executed by lethal injection.
I thought it was electrocution.
Yeah, I actually just realised that.
They obviously changed the method.
I don't know what's happened there.
Oh.
Anyway.
He died.
In his final statement, O'Brien maintained his innocence, stating that he felt the death penalty was wrong. But during the execution, a crowd of 300 demonstrators gathered outside the prison and they cheered while some yelled, "Trick or treat."
Oh, God.
And others showered anti-death penalty demonstrators with sweets.
Okay.
And that is the story of the Candyman.
Do you know what I've just been thinking for the past 5 minutes though? What about his daughter? His daughter, so, obviously she didn't have the sherbet.
The pixie sticks.
Aye, that. So imagine living with that. Knowing that your dad succeeded in killing your brother and was prepared to kill you as well.
Yeah.
You were luckily, just lucky.
Obviously she was 5 at the time, so memory-wise she might not recall.
But she's going to remember everything after that.
Yeah, I mean, she'll probably know what's happened, I guess, but maybe she might not. I don't know.
She might not remember the actual
night of it.
Yeah, but to know, she's gonna know.
But
that her dad was intending on murdering her.
Yeah, I know.
That is absolutely horrific. Can you imagine your dad?
Exactly,
because it's bad enough that your dad has murdered your brother, because you've lost your brother and you've lost your dad as well because he did die eventually, But to know that you were an intended target as well,
I know.
That is absolutely horrendous.
I just couldn't. I know because he wanted to claim on the life insurance policy because he was, got into a lot of debt and stuff.
But so what? Why should your children pay for that?
Well, exactly. You're the one. I mean, maybe it's not all his fault that he's gone into debt. I mean, I don't know the circumstances of how it's all happened, but it's certainly
not his children's fault.
Exactly, and it's not their. They shouldn't be giving up their lives to help you sort
exactly.
that out. That's awful.
And the fact that the money that he would have gotten wouldn't have even covered the debt anyway. Not that that matters, but it's
exactly. It's horrible.
It just
horrible.
makes their lives worthless. Really, that's And his poor wife.
I know.
To lose, she's lost a child, she's lost a husband, and she has to bring up another child, knowing that she could have lost her as well. And she's having to look after her because she's dealing with her grief, and that is absolutely horrendous. All about money.
I know. So it's horrific story.
I've definitely, as I said at the start, I haven't heard that story, but I've definitely heard it referenced about a guy. So I knew it was him right from the start.
Yeah.
Because I knew a dad had tried to use the cover up of Halloween Candy, but I didn't know exactly.
Yeah.
But that is.
I
mean, there's no reason for you to do that, but to actually find out that reason is just because you were in debt
it's awful. I mean, he should have just faced up to it, and alright, if they lost house, job, etc. I get that's a hard probably thing to go through, but it's better than killing your kids at the end of the day.
Of course it is.
I mean, you could have, started again. You could have went bankrupt. Yes, you might have lost your house, but you would have. You could have clawed your way back up.
Exactly. And plenty of people do it. There's no shame in it. There's, it happens.
Exactly.
People do, and they do. There's people that hit rock bottom. when it comes to financial, and they manage to claw their way. They
Yeah,
don't
I mean,
kill
there's
their
a lot
kids
of pain
because
that
of
you
it.
may go through in
Of
that
course,
process,
I mean, it's
I
a big
guess.
deal.
Yeah, but, still...
You
I
should
would
go
rather-
through it with your children and your wife by your side.
Exactly.
Do it together, like-
Yeah, they shouldn't lose their lives over that at the end of the day. That should never have been a thought. So, yeah, it was pretty bad, and
That's horrendous.
I'm sorry, but,
When did it happen again?
on Halloween. The 31st of October.
All right.
Halloween.
Okay, which is not today.
No, it's not today. But there you go. So
Right,
next year,
yeah.
I get dibs on having a Halloween one on
Well,
Halloween night.
I actually told you last year that you were doing a Halloween episode this year.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. But you never told me that you were doing a Halloween
I
episode.
thought I did.
No,
But then...
not till later.
Oh, okay.
Not till I'd already started.
Oh, well, never mind. You still got to hear it. That's the main thing, so-
Exactly. I mean, yeah, it was a horrific story, but
Yeah.
it doesn't matter when it gets told, does it?
No.
It's just it still happened, and
Exactly.
that is absolutely horrendous, and that's really given me the fear about trick or treaters. Like, just
Well, you're not going to lace any sweeties with...
no, I meant them for
Oh,
them.
for them.
For them going.
Well,
And that poor person as well. Imagine if that man whose house he accused him of, what if he'd actually been in that night and he didn't have an alibi? He'd been in the house by himself.
well, yeah, that's true, because, if he had been in the house...
They wouldn't have had the evidence to convict him. But, some people do get falsely accused, and he still would have had to go through all that questioning and being a suspect.
Well, yeah, exactly, yeah. And I mean, obviously any murder is bad enough, but when it's somebody murdering a child, then the abuse and that would come with that is...
Well, mud sticks as well.
Yeah.
Even if he'd been cleared of it, after all the questioning, he would have had to go through a hell of a lot. And then there still would have been people, getting him
Judging,
abuse.
judging,
Of course.
judging him and stuff.
So thank God he was at work.
Yeah,
That's what I can
his
say.
alibi, yeah. But
So, well, thank you for that. For your lovely Halloween episode. Okay, I'm going to shop about it now.
Yeah.
So thanks everybody for listening. If you'd like to follow us on social media, the information is in the show notes. If you'd like to join our Patreon, we're patreon.com/CrimeDivers. You can get 2 bonus episodes a month, ad-free episodes, early access to episodes, and
if you enjoy listening to us and you haven't already, please don't forget to subscribe, rate, review.
thanks for listening. Bye.